Damn him. The butcher calmly raised his hand, waving warmly at Vina, as if telling her she's next. Terrified and frozen, Vina instinctively raised her hand to wave back. After greeting Vina, the butcher let out a low growl and pulled his axe out from the woman's spine. He then slowly walked around to face the woman, getting ready to strike her again. The woman, now on her knees begging for mercy, was too scared to even look at the butcher. Just as the butcher was deciding where to chop next, a shout came from the distance. Another butcher had arrived, covered in blood and wielding a sickle. He ran straight toward Vina, seeing someone else trying to steal his victim. The first butcher charged at him with his axe, and just like that, the two butchers began to brawl over the spoils. Vina saw her chance, and quickly ran to the wounded woman, hoping to escape while the two fought.
Sorry.
The fight escalated quickly. Every punch thrown was meant to kill. After several hours of brutal combat, Butcher A finally collapsed, exhausted. But Butcher B wasn't done. He picked up the sickle from the ground, swung it a few times, and finished him off for good. Meanwhile, Vina struggled to drag the injured woman into the woods, but because the woman was severely wounded, it was clear they couldn't escape like this. So Vina decided to hide her first, then go alone to get help from the rich lady. To keep the woman from being discovered, Vina even gathered some tree branches to cover her, but she forgot one very important thing: the trail of blood. Sure enough, it didn't take long for the butcher to follow the blood trail and find the woman. Hearing footsteps outside, the woman was so terrified she almost peed herself. She held her mouth shut and didn't even dare to breathe, but that didn't help at all. The butcher still found her. Anyone who's watched butcher horror movies knows what comes next for the woman would be utterly brutal. The butcher treated her like a toy, grabbing one of her arms and slowly dragging her to a big tree. He then propped her up against the tree, wrapped both her arms around the trunk, walked behind the tree, and ripped both her arms right off. Hearing shouting from a distance, Vina quickly ran back with a knife in hand. But when she got there, the woman was gone. Panicked, Vina followed the blood trail, only to find the woman already dead beyond saving. She saw the butcher sitting beside his cruel masterpiece, and collapsed in tears. At that moment, Vina had no idea what to do anymore. She had completely lost hope in life. But then she thought of her grandma back home, who was still in school, and forced herself to get back up. She swore silently in her heart, "These monsters will pay." As she wandered through this strange place, she eventually stumbled upon a house. Curious, Vina pushed open the door and stepped in, gripping her large blade. But she had barely entered when she suddenly heard a noise behind her. Without thinking, Vina swung around and attacked. Damn it, it's a girl. Turns out Vina wasn't the only woman brought to this hell. There were several more. One of them, beaten and sobbing, kept muttering, "I'm sorry." But what use was an apology now? That woman eventually died from blood loss. Faced with the two remaining women, Vina didn't know how to explain herself. Her hands were still covered in blood from the previous victims. But thanks to the director's setup, the other woman didn't attack her. Instead, she took Vina's weapon. Turns out, they had a shared goal: to kill the butchers outside. As they talked, Vina accidentally learned something important. Since they were captured and brought here, they had all seen the same strange images in their eyes. Vina, being sharp, immediately realized something was off. Following her hunch, she used a spoon to dig out the eye of the woman who had just died, and shockingly found a microchip embedded inside. That finally explained it. Why they were all seeing the same visuals. It wasn't just a horror story, it was a twisted slaughter game, being watched by rich psychos with nothing better to do. Suddenly, loud knocking came from outside the house. It was the blonde girl who had left with the knife earlier. She urgently warned them. Two more butchers just arrived outside. The blonde suggested they hide until nightfall, because going out during the day was too risky with butchers watching. But they forgot one critical detail: the surveillance cameras. Before they could finish talking, the two butchers had already arrived, weapons in hand. The survivors had no choice but to hide quietly in a corner, terrified of being seen by the killers. The sound of the knife scraping against the floorboards was like death itself coming for them. They were so terrified, they didn't even dare to breathe. Suddenly, crack, the butcher kicked the door open and stormed inside. Damn it. The three girls inside the room instantly felt their hearts skyrocket past 300 BPM. Wide-eyed, frozen, not one of them dared to make a sound. But timid Mia couldn't hold it together. She let out a sharp gasp. The butcher immediately noticed. Game over. He grabbed Mia by both legs and dragged her into the middle of the room, ready to start his butchering. But brave Vina, seeing this, grabbed a wooden plank from the floor and rushed in to help. With the two girls attacking from front and back, they managed to force the butcher out the door and slammed it shut. But the room was no longer safe, so they decided to crawl out and sneak away. As Mia was climbing out, her foot suddenly got stuck. Before she could break free, the butcher came crashing back in. Damn it. In an instant, the butcher and Vina each grabbed one of Mia's arms and started playing a deadly game of tug-of-war with her. To make things worse, another butcher was now approaching the house from outside. Out of options, Vina let go of Mia, rushed back into the house with the axe, and slammed it straight into the butcher's head, killing him on the spot. Vina's brutal move shocked the other butcher, who immediately turned and ran. Although Mia was saved, the blonde girl who had run outside wasn't so lucky. She was chopped down with a single axe strike. The scene was so bloody and intense, even a twisted psycho would need 2 bowls of rice to handle it. After that, Vina and Mia started making plans to escape. But on the way, Vina unexpectedly ran into her best friend. As soon as they saw each other, they burst into tears. There was so much pain they wanted to let out. If the director hadn't cut it short, they could have sat down and talked for days. Suddenly, another twisted woman appeared, holding a metal fork. Just as Vina braced for a fight, a strange vision flashed in her eyes again. Then, bam, she fainted. The shadow outside drew closer and closer. If no one acted soon, Vina was done for. Mia suddenly pulled out a knife and, with a cry, slashed Vina's best friend across the throat. As her friend collapsed, clutching her neck, the nearby butcher mysteriously exploded and died too. Turns out, the whole time, this killing game had a twisted rule. Every butcher was linked to a victim. If the victim died, the corresponding butcher also died. The game's real goal, to force the women to kill each other. But under Vina's leadership, they had all refused to do that, until now. Looking at her friend's body, Vina was overwhelmed with grief. She didn't know what to say. Could she blame Mia? Mia did save her life, but she also killed her best friend. In the end, kind-hearted Vina could only silently cling to Mia, filled with sorrow and confusion.
Just leave us alone!
But I saved you. And you promised to save me.
I should have let you die!
Heartbroken, Mia had no choice but to leave alone. She never expected that, in Vina's heart, her best friend's life meant more than her own. This cruel and twisted game pushed Vina to the edge of a complete breakdown. She didn't even know what she had done wrong to deserve such merciless fate. But in that moment, Vina transformed all her grief and rage into the power of revenge. Because now, she wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for every woman who had suffered. Determined to take control of her fate, Vina gritted her teeth and, without hesitation, dug out the camera-implanted eyeball so they could no longer watch her. She knew that true revenge could only happen when they couldn't see her coming. In the final chapter of the story, Vina, through sheer will and determination, tracked down the mastermind behind it all. Armed with a high-voltage electric gun, she fired without mercy, zapping the man unconscious on the spot. The scene shifted. The man woke up, tied to a chair, unable to move. What awaited him next was a never-ending nightmare of torment.
Oh, they'll find out soon enough.
After watching The Goddess of Vengeance, I was left with a whirlwind of emotions. On one hand, I felt devastated by the evil and cruelty the film revealed in human nature. On the other, I was deeply moved by Vina's unbreakable spirit and her relentless pursuit of justice. This film made me realize, in real life, we too may face injustice and oppression, but we must never choose silence or submission. Like the heroine, we must find the courage to stand up, fight for ourselves and for others, and never stop seeking justice. Alright, that's all for today's story.